My name is Jordan McKenzie. I'm the Director of Community and Economic Revitalization. Most of you, probably all of you know me. We may have some that are online, but I am the Director of Revitalization here at the CRA. And I've been with the CRA for about a year and a half, and so I'm excited for everybody to come out and join us. This opportunity is what we're calling the Chelsea Neighborhood Center site. And basically, it encompasses the historic 299 Chelsea site, as well as a couple of ancillary sites that are like contiguous with the 299 Chelsea property. So we'll go through the general spiel of the site, kind of give you some overview, and then we'll pause, we'll have some interspersed pauses if you all have any questions about the site that we can answer, or we'll try to figure out an answer for you, all right? Most of you, all of you know the CRA, so I won't spend a lot of time here, but what we are excited about is to present this new development opportunity for you all in order to kind of bring to life the Chelsea Avenue corridor. And so I hope some residents come, but just so you all will understand that may not know, the CRA has been invested in Uptown and in North Memphis for a number of years. And so part of the Uptown Community Plan is one big portion of the Uptown Community Plan, let me say it like that, involves this center coming online. This is a critical piece to the Uptown area and making sure that it's activated and is activated adequately. All right. And so I'll read just a couple of things, but yes, as you all know, right here, we're looking for a developer to bring this to activate this square, this intersection. It sits in a unique place. It sits in, to me, a little bit of a four square because you have Bickford Bearwater to the north, you got a little bit of Sutterfield to the northeast, and you got Uptown and Greenlaw to the west, southwest, and then some would even claim on the southeast a little bit of Smoky City. So this intersection is pretty critical. Some would claim, not everybody, but some would claim that even some of that is Smoky City. So this intersection is critical because it sits at the junction of quite a few neighborhoods. And of course, a lot of you probably know there's a fire station that was just recently built across the street. And last week, there was an announcement of about 52 units coming online for Habitat for Humanity. So essentially, as you know, they're building a neighborhood across across the street in this area. Some of the other CRA projects that are happening there as well. A big one is Second and Chelsea, and that project is going to be a multi-family unit development. And I don't want to throw out the wrong number. I think 150 some odd units or so will be coming online. So there's strong opportunity, strong development pressure that's happening along the Chelsea Avenue. So it's very advantageous that we put out this RFP at this time, so that there's some continuity happening between all the development options. And just for aerial view, just to kind of orient, I don't know what the correct word is. So everybody understands we're on the same page. These are the 8 selected sites that create or comprise of the Chelsea Neighborhood Center. We actively have site control on all of these sites except for the northwest corner with the car wash and the convenience store right there. Conveniently control that. All right. And these are just some ancillary numbers. Everything, all the land, all the square footage on the land is less than half an acre per each site. Altogether is about an acre and a half. Okay, so 1.52 acres. The zoning is split on a couple of different sites. Explicitly on the 299 Chelsea site, it is zoned MDR and mixed use, but it also has a neighborhood center overlay, and it also has a central business improvement district overlay as well, but that's not really incumbent upon the zoning. That's just more so about DMC. But these are just again, in I guess in numeric form, the different parcels, the different addresses, and the total acreage for hold on. Am I muted? In Teams.
You should not be, are you?
No, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. Okay. I just thought about it because I knew we was muted at first. Okay, all right. Good. Okay, good. So yeah, these are just some of the land square footage areas, and these are the zones. So as you know, as you all know, as you can see, we got the split zoning. So that'll require some entitlement fixes on the front end. So you'll have to go, land use control board, city council, to get that cleaned up to get that done. Whether you go through the rezoning route or whether you go the PD route, that'll be up to your discretion. But you will have to get that cleaned up in order for your project to proceed on the city side. Just a couple of quick focus points. 299 Chelsea, a lot of you have already know, we've done a lot of community engagement. We recently last year put out a bid for project management for the actual rehabilitation, the exterior rehabilitation of 299 Chelsea, and we are running that project management through KPS Services, who happens to be here today. And so they are running that. They are running the project management rehabilitation services for us. But this is a pre-Civil War construction building. It has gone through several iterations of different churches. It was also a central standing point during the Civil War itself. So it has a lot of historicity on this site. And these are just a few site images. That's the parking lot. This is Chelsea and 60. So this is on the west side of 299 Chelsea, and then this is 286 Bethel. So on the back side, this is still west of the 299 Chelsea church structure, but on the back side. So quick note here: 588 Chelsea used to be an old auto body shop, and as you know, it's kind of corner to the brick church. We are in a current lease agreement with two partners, Do Right by the Streets by Desiree Powell and Bluff City Events by Jay Smith. They are doing a series of food truck events over the next 18 months here. So, and we are in a lease agreement with them. So please understand, when you submit your development proposals, understand that they do have rights with the CRA to be there for at least the next 18 months. So that needs to be incorporated. That's just something to consider when you're talking about 580 Chelsea, and ensure that you incorporate that usage, that it will be taking place over the next 18 months. Okay? And it can be incorporated in the permanent development, right? But just you need to make sure that that's notated. Emma, do you want to speak to the environment a little bit? Okay. So the brick church explicitly, of course, has had hazardous materials, and it is being remediated with the asbestos concerns. There is abatement happening. There has been abatement that has happened, and then at this point, I believe only the roof lines now to be rehabilitated. Like 588 Chelsea, like I said, it was an auto body shop, so yes, there probably was some level of brownfield concerns there. We still recommend that you get a phase one for the whole site, all 8 parts. Just do a phase one for liability purposes, for the due diligence, just so you cover. So yeah, I want to be careful with that. Yeah, go ahead.
At this point, you guys don't have a phase one or phase two for any of the sites, correct? Yeah, great, thank you.
Good question, thank you. This is a couple weeks ago, no, not a couple weeks ago, a month ago now, almost 2 months ago. We had a visioning session at 299 Chelsea, and we allowed the residents and some of the community stakeholders to give us their direct feedback on what they would like to see explicitly at the 299 Chelsea site. At the 299 Chelsea site, we have, we got the church structure. We're trying to see exactly what they want to see. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. It was originally slated to go to Hattie Theater with Tech and Value. He pulled out of the project, and so that's why we put it back to the residents to give us their feedback on what kind of uses they would like to see at this intersection. And as you can see, we got, we try to put some data dashboards around it. So we got a very, very high percentage of people that said performing arts, theater, and culture center. So the residents have overwhelmingly notated that that is the central primary use that they want the church to be rehabilitated and be adaptively reused as. And it's not to say that the other uses, they don't want those uses. They would love those uses, but the main use is to turn it back into a performing arts work in the theater place. We also talked about preliminarily about the closing of 6th Street, how they would feel about that. Overall, we got a general leaning crowd. We got 27% that explicitly said yes. We got about 39% that said they would maybe. So they are open to it if it makes sense. If you can convince me that it makes sense to close 6th Street, I'm open for it. This data is a critical component to it because at the Uptown joint agency meetings, residents have repeatedly complained about speeding along 6th Street. So in your proposal, it would be very wise to ensure you have some kind of plan for 6th Street, whether that is a full closure, whether that is partial closure or temporary. You need to propose something and some kind of rendering to show what that would look like would be very advantageous. But yes, but on the other side of that, they are opposed. They love raised crosswalks. They love the idea of painted crosswalks. So rehabilitating that entire intersection will be within your purview. So you'd be awarded this project. So we want to see not just what buildings you will put on the property, but how do you re-envision that entire intersection? And be aware that Chelsea is a state route. So yeah, there will be some additional paperwork and some additional approvals that will have to be done in order for that to come online. But that intersection would be part of the redevelopment of that center. And yes, I guess I do want to say this, they are interested in housing, and we'll get more into it. Pausing for questions at this point. Does anyone have any questions about what I've said?
The survey about uses,
yeah.
Was that done after the Hallow proposal or prior?
After the Hallow?
After or before?
So, 2 months ago. Yeah, about 2 months ago. Yeah. So this is after they pulled out, and this is when we went back to the community.
Was there a similar survey done prior to the Hallow proposal?
No.
There's the community plan, community outline, community plan for Uptown redevelopment area outlines that, which did have a high level of engagement that included a performing arts use there. Are there any questions online?
All right. We'll keep going. And like I said, we're interspersing our Q&A. So if you get questions, we've got a couple more, I guess, pit stop before we come to the conclusion. You can ask your questions. All right, we're gonna keep going. So these are just some of the project goals. If you've had a chance to read the RFP, I won't try to bore you with the same things, but again, the central point is restoring the historic brick church, bringing the 588 Chelsea site online. Of course, having an affordable housing component would be critical for the other ancillary sites that surround 299. Then some of the other things, this project, like I said, because we have so much housing that's coming online from 2nd Street moving east, some connectivity would be very critical. Some continuity between what we got going on in 2nd and Chelsea, between Habitat, the Chelsea Neighborhood Center, of course, eventually activating Thomas Street, Danny Thomas, and making sure that all of that makes sense. We want some synergy between all of these developments. And so that'll be very, very critical. I'm trying to think. I think those are the main things. All right. And these are just some contextual examples that we want to throw in terms of a reuse. So we're talking about a church, right? So and it's not just a church, but a historic church. So there's only so much, I guess, in terms of exterior wise that you can do. But we don't want you to feel limited in your creativity. So these are just some ideas to consider. Again, more about the 6th Street closure, bollards, some roadblocks, things that are more digestible for the community. It's not that we would not be interested in turning it into a plaza. I think the community would love that. But just these are things that I want you, as developers to consider explicitly in your proposal, showing what that closure could look like, so that is something that the community can digest, right? And like I said, on top of the closure, the traffic, it says traffic calming, but really it would, to me, it would go just beyond the normal traffic calming. We're talking about redesigning the intersection. We're talking about a closure. We're talking about raising the crosswalks or painting the intersection. So think of it in terms of a redesign, really. This is something that I also wanted to bring onto your attention. I'll talk more about it in another slide, but because we have a considerable amount of housing that's going to be coming online between the two projects, Second and Chelsea and Habitat, and then this project as well as our essential housing program that's also within the area that's coming online, that's bringing on housing. There has to be some consideration for the school impact on the schools. So as you're considering your development, consider doing a light analysis of what the housing unit and bringing in population would do to the impacts of the schools around here as well. And there's another explicit reason why I'm also mentioning this, because Humes has been, as some of you probably know, Humes has been bought by New Ballet Ensemble. So Memphis Arts is coming in to take over Humes Middle School. So that school will be coming online, and that'll be a considerable boost to the school enrollment within the area. So just something to also consider because of the proximity 299 just is to right here. So that's critical. Just another note, so you all, just for your reference, we did a quick analysis, there's about 4,443 housing units within a 1 mile radius of the Chelsea Neighborhood Center, and that's a diverse stock. That's between multifamily and single family homes. And that averages out to about 6.97 dwelling units per acre, which is, considered low to moderate density level, and it has its, own residential pattern. So I wanted to throw that number up there because the density for this specific radius does show it can support some neighborhood level retail. It can support community facilities, community service uses. It can support some ancillary things, small restaurant, retail, things like that, and still maintain its, community feel or community identity. And that's important because we want to make sure that we don't isolate or alienate this project. It still needs to feel like it's part of the communities, because again, it's at the intersection of several neighborhoods. So you want to make sure that it feels comfortable, that the people don't, we don't want to blend right back like this don't look like my neighborhood. And so just be cognizant of that. So also, again, re-emphasizing the performing arts thing. This area is quickly turning into a music arts district. And these are some of the things that are happening within the vicinity. We got Angel Street is turning into a recording studio on 3rd, 898 North 3rd. You have the Grind City Amphitheater about the Green Line, which is in Bellwater. I just talked about Mem Arts. You got Memphis Symphony that's happening, that's going into Northside over in Klondike. We got a puppet theater going in at Pierce Park in Chelsea. And then the Young Actors Guild that's also happening. So this is quickly becoming performing arts theater-like district. And so it's not coincidence that 299 sits in the middle of all of these uses, okay? So 299 would almost be like the nucleus to bring all of that together, right? Questions?
Yes.
Questions?
You mentioned affordable housing. Is that like voucher housing, or are we thinking more attainable housing?
So for CRA's definition, anything that's 120% and below 120% AMI and below, which I know a lot of people be like, well, that's just market rate housing. So, but by our definition, that's what we would consider affordable. Any other questions?
Do you know if Chelsea is a state-owned?
Yeah, it is. Stay there. Yeah. Any questions online?
No questions.
All right, cool. We will keep it going then. I must be pretty good. Y'all ain't have any questions for me. Okay, all right, cool. Just some opportunities, some funding opportunities that can work for this site. Of course, number one, historic tax credits. It's a free Civil War bill. I mean, this is low hanging fruit, right? This is low hanging fruit for historic tax credits, and it's within the Green Law Historic District, so that's critical. Also, as you all know, all of North Memphis sits in the opportunity zone. So you can go after QOF, get some funding there. That's on the capital gains side. And then if you use, as long as we can demonstrate clear community benefit, this is also eligible for new market tax credits. So putting in a community center, putting in some kind of small retail grocer would qualify this site for new market tax credit. And that doesn't necessarily have to be in the church. Again, you got 8 parcels to work with. So if you can put it together to show some kind of community hub, cultural center, small grocer, something that brings a new type of benefit or new type of tax flow to the community, qualifies for tax credits. Currently, right now, we have $1 million dedicated to stabilization of the brick church, with potential for another $1 million in FY27. And so that's just something to also be aware of. But those dollars are explicitly slated for the brick church. They are not for redeveloping the total property, the total development site. That's explicitly for the church itself. And at this time, there has been no additional funding that has been allocated by the board, by the CRA board towards this site. Now, do they qualify for brownfield tax credits?
They could qualify for some brownfield tax credits through the state. The state has 2 different routes that you can go, and you can do both, they can be layered. They have one that's for purchase price, and then they have one for remediation as well. And because 2 corners of this development site have potential brownfield issues, I think it should be explored.
To that same point, the site also may qualify to be a brownfield TIF in and of itself.
I'm not sure you can do it for that.
Well,
But it's worth the discussion.
yeah, it is worth it because this would be more site specific versus the other TIF is a more community based TIF. So it's something that worth looking into. And that's the brownfield TIF element was just something that was recently created. It had been in debate within the state for a number of years, but it recently just came online. So something worth exploring into. I think that's generally what we got right now. Again, okay, evaluation criteria, because this is important, because this is your grade. And this is your grade for the development. Again, 40 points of this is a theater performing arts component in the project proposal. 40 points. So if you ask me, do I have to have a performing arts component in this project? I'm going to take you back to grade school. I wouldn't play with 40% of my grade. I wouldn't play with it. So if you know that it's 40 points of the total has to have some kind of theater performing arts component to it, it'd be very advantageous for you to put that in your proposal. Of course, project feasibility is important. We want to be assured that you do have the capacity as well as the financial capability to pull the project off. And then the economic and community inclusion, community engagement. This project is very near and dear to the community. So showing a timeline, showing an explicit engagement plan is critical to be a part of this component. Show how you're going to engage the community explicitly. We no longer do MWBE tracking per state law, but we do engage in LOSB, locally owned small businesses. So engaging in the small businesses within the community, within the city of Memphis, will be critical in that 20 points. We also added a couple of additional bonus point priorities, adding having tenants ready to go, having letters of interest from tenants will afford you 10 points. And then abiding by some green building standards, so like LEED would also give you 10 points as well. So those are just some things to consider. But again, 40 points. Yes, good.
We are also collecting tenant interest forms through this process, and we are receiving those forms. So if once the developers are awarded, we can also connect you with those who have expressed interest in CRA directly.
Could you provide more detail on the project feasibility? How is that evaluated by the CRA?
So in terms of,
What are the metrics?
yeah, so one of the metrics again is, I guess, one of the metrics would be land use, right? So project feasibility, ensuring that the land use can support it, ensuring that the density levels can support whatever what you're performing or what you're proposing. So those are two of the things that I would definitely say are part of the project feasibility. Some of that also comes into, bleeds into the capacity and the experience, also showing the pro forma. So like the financing, the pro forma that you propose, it pencils out. So for instance, if you propose your project is 5% equity and 95% debt, that it's not to say that you would be disqualified, but it doesn't, that's not the typical ratio that you have in debt equity development composition. So that was something that would ding you in project feasibility. Land uses, again, if you don't have understanding of the split zoning or how those entitlements work, that would be an issue. If you don't understand have understanding of the dwelling units per acre and how that impacts your project, that dings you. If you don't mention any of the environmental assessments that are needed or any of the environmental concerns, that'll ding you. So showing that you have understanding of the multifaceted, areas and conditions of the sites. That's what we include within the scope of project feasibility. And was there anything you did? Okay. Any other? Let me see. Wait, I'll just stay right here. But any other questions about the criteria? We'll keep it pushing. So the RFP was published on the 19th. Got informational today. 2 open houses on the 24th of October and the 19th. Wait, November 14th. Right, October 24th and November 14th. Those are 2 open houses. They'll both be at 10 o'clock a.m. Those are Fridays. So you are more than welcome to come back, take a look at the church. Excuse me. Or you can also take a look into 588 Chelsea. Submittals are due December the 19th by 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. We will put together the selection committee, and you will begin to hear from us in January. We'll start evaluating the proposals. We'll start doing interviews. We'll start getting community residents involved to make sure that they have an understanding of the proposals and we agree on who we would like to award the project to. And hopefully we would like to get a development agreement signed and executed by April. And, by the fall, we would like to see some kind of motion, some kind of movement on the different sites.
So Jordan, is there some more specific expectations regarding the schedule? Beyond the start date in terms of completion of certain phases or anything of that nature?
Not at this time, just generally once you are awarded, we'll start the process of negotiating the development agreement. And then at that point will be the timeline for the actual construction and whatever pre-development you have to do to get, or whatever marketing analysis you have to do. That's when that would really start. Again, it's just, tentative, like what we would like to see. It's the fall of 2026. But we understand that things happen and government is slow. So, it is up for negotiation. All right. Last one. Questions and answers. Anybody got questions? Yeah, please.
On the property side, is it the CRA's expectation that the CRA will stay in the deal as a partner, or is this contemplating a full sale of the land?
So
to the development?
At this point, what my understanding of it is that the CRA will stay on as a partner through the construction, like through the development phases. But we do plan to sell the property to the developer at the end or at the close of the final phase. But we will stay in lockstep with the developer through the construction phases. So for whatever timeline that looks like.
To add back to that, if that's the case, is there any sort of return expectation on the CRA's end, or is it simply for the community benefit?
Simply for the community benefit. No, we are not looking for an ROI. I mean, we are not, the community is, but we're not.
Thank you. Are you sharing this presentation or will you?
Yeah, we're sure. I think, did you already?
I'm
put
gonna
it?
attach it to the meeting invite.
Any other questions? Any questions online for anyone, from anyone?
No, sir. You're doing great.
All right. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate it. So if you all have any more questions, again, you all are more than welcome to email me or text me. Or you can call him. She's the actual boss. And so I always mess with her. But y'all are more than welcome to reach out to us and let us know. Thank you all for coming. Jay, thank you for coming. He is one of the tenants for 588 Chelsea for the food truck festival. So, like I said, having letters of interest on your development proposal adds points. He's right there. All right. I shouldn't. Y'all make a connection. I think you all appreciate it, and y'all have a good day.